Dr. Nowhere has been known to make amazing artistic horror content for us to watch on YouTube, and his new video is honestly still proving that narrative. This video talks about some crazy topics, so I suggest you dial in. Alright, enjoy the video. But also, before I start, if you want to see more content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. This is honestly my first time doing a video like this, and I would like to hear you guys' information down in the comments. I honestly enjoy analyzing a lot of different media, so I mean, even if it's not correct, and I may be wrong with my theories, I still like doing it nonetheless. Okay, now enjoy the video. The video opens with this creepy little guy staring into our souls, and one word that could be seen at the bottom of the screen. Desiderio. I think I'm pronouncing that right. From what I found with thorough research, aka a Google search, this word means multiple things in the Italian language. It could mean desire, wish, or longing, depending on the context. Once the background fades and this creepy little guy is still staring at us, which is like pure nightmare fuel if I saw this dude, like looking at the end of my bed or peeking around the corner from my bathroom, staring right at me. I don't think I'd be very pleased about his presence. It cuts to a house in a mostly empty field with some trees in the back and some dark clouds taking up a majority of the sky, letting close to no light come through. It seems very depressing and closed in from the outside world. Keep those clouds in mind though, because they come in for it later. It then cuts into a house we saw in the field where we're met with a very nostalgic and oddly cozy living room. It honestly reminds me of the living room from Courage the Cowardly Dog, which kind of shares the same kind of horror that used to freak me out when I was little. And I mean, it still carries over to this video now. We can also see a not so happy looking person sitting on the couch alone with his unsteady and unhealthy breathing pattern. This person's name is revealed by Dr. Nowhere in the description of the video, with their name being Fran Keel. With me searching up the name on Google, it's a gender-neutral name that can be short for Francisco or Francis. We're also told that they are a hypochondriac. And if you're like me and knew the word but didn't know what it meant, it's a mental health condition characterized by excessive worry and fear about having a serious illness, even with repeated medical reassurance. Dr. Nowhere even notes how he finally confronts the root of his illness. And the word root holds a lot of visual and metaphorical weight later in the video. Fran then glances at the chimney, and something odd happens. I'll let you see for yourself. Yeah, there's honestly a lot to unpack here, guys. Firstly, when Fran starts to look at the chimney, we can hear a clock start to tick. And when we get closer, we can see a speck of ash roll from above, making us believe something is gonna like crawl out or at least peek out from above the fire pit. But instead, we're met with a familiar with a familiar pale face coming from inside Fran's stomach, peeking through his stomach. The face in this close up is really well done, and I'm honestly surprised to see some 3D art renderings from Dr. Nowhere, but I'm also not surprised on how creepy and unsettling it is. Dr. Nowhere really knows how to create something like so scary. I can't wait to see like more use of this in later projects because I honestly do really love his work. We can see Franz reach into his stomach and we're met with this more than horrifying image of the full body of our thought to be tiny little friend. Franz then moves his arm deeper into his stomach and starts reaching for a large open cabinet filled to the brim with antibiotics. When the camera zooms in closer, we can see the name for some of these pills that are prescribed to him. I mean, at least we know Franz is some tweaker. Ciprofloxacin, metronidazole, metronidazole, sulfonamide, azthromycin, ivermectin, and the one Fran reached for, albendazole. All these antibiotics are listed for mostly the same thing, worm and or parasite infections used to hopefully flush them out with pretty rough side effects that are persistent throughout all of these. And those consist of headache, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal or stomach pain, dizziness, fever, hair loss, or thinning, which usually is irreversible. That's a lot of medication for someone who's a hypochondriac. The most notable of the many in here is the bottom left, labeled as nitazoxanide. I say this is the most notable because it combats one of the most common side effects of these meds directly, diarrhea, which I say is pretty good since I wouldn't want my toilet looking like a gravy version of Piece of the Hut. We then get a small glance at the bottle before Fran takes the pill. That's written in Italian, and when translated it says, "It's a seed, not a pill." Which is honestly a huge bombshell for what's come like later in this video. We cut back to Fran with a lampshade on his head for some reason. And he's panting heavily, like he's trying to hide from something. I think you might want to look for a better spot before whatever it is comes, man. We then continue to hear his heavy breathing and small flashes of our friend peeking from the same hole where Fran's seed, pill went. We can also see a pair of lungs in the fireplace following the same breathing pattern as Fran's. Then we get to see what seems to be like a small panic attack from Fran. We then cut to what is presumably the next day, where we see Fran roll up his sleeve to show his decaying skin on his arm. Maybe it's the undiagnosed parasites that are eating his skin. Just some food for thought. He then picks up some chimney cleaner tool and heads up to the roof, where he looks inside the chimney and we can hear wind blowing back at him. Sounds cold and empty. He then glances past his roof and sees that a storm is forming in the distance.
There's a storm coming, Fran. You know they'll never find out what's wrong with you. And even if they did, they're just gonna make you sicker. The doctor just wants to lie to you. They're gonna keep pumping you full of things that fix one problem and then make a worse one. You can't go over there. No, just try and shove more medicine down your gullet. There's a storm coming, Fran, and you'll be all alone inside your house when it gets here. Every drop on your roof will remind you there's no one to share the comfort with. How does it feel to know that you'll be alone with me? You remember our deal, don't you?
Well, that was very unexpected. I also think that I have a theory coming on, like in my head, a small one. I think our not so silly friend is the root. See what I did there? Like, since it looks like a bunch of root. Never mind. But for real, I think the root of Fran's parasite illness is that he believes that he has these parasites in him. Remember when I said that Fran was a hypochondriac? I think our tall, pale root friend is Fran's consciousness. Being a hypochondriac is a mental disorder, which is why it gives emphasis that it and Fran will be all alone when the storm comes. I also believe that this storm is a metaphor for depression that's going to hit Fran later on. A storm of thoughts that are going to be there raining on his psyche. And the only person that's going to be there with him are his own thoughts. It also explains how Fran believes the doctors are lying to him about not having some illness, even though he clearly thinks he does. I guess the knowledgeable and certified doctors are lying, huh, Fran? And the only solution that they know is giving him more medications to try and fix this problem. I also think this is why it says they're going to pump you full of things that fix one problem and then make a worse one. Because the problem that they're trying to fix isn't even a problem. So they're just getting side effects from an antibiotic that he doesn't need to take. We also get flashes of this baby leaving Fran's consciousness and going towards the town while still attached to an umbilical cord. But honestly, I have no clue what this could imply. Maybe the umbilical cord can represent how he's going to be forever tied to his mental illness. I wonder why he hasn't been diagnosed with that yet. This deal that Fran's consciousness brings up is also harder for me to interpret. So I'll let you guys try and help me pinpoint something, like in the comments. When it cuts back to Fran in his living room with the cord going into the fireplace, he's teary-eyed and looks afraid. Then he splits in half and flies outside on some hereditary shit. Jokes aside, I personally see this as Fran sadly taking his own life to be free from his mental. Although suicide is never the solution for any troubles in life, there really was no one there for Fran. He was all alone with his dark thoughts, which is why he went through with it. This is why he was so teary-eyed before doing it, scared of what's to come next. But he's also scared of what will happen to him if he stays alive. I think that's why he rips the root monster out of him, because he's removing all those terrible thoughts and dying with peace. He chose to have it done this way, his way. He's set free from his dark thoughts, his soul from what I think flies from the house and into the ground, in the same motion that that pill did after he took it. He took the seeds that made him worse and became the seed to be appreciated by others when he's gone. The video ends and we're met with the same words again, Desiderio. But when we read it this time, there's a heartbreaking story surrounding its presence. Fran's desire to get better led him to ruining his body, but that same desire to get better was met with a fate that he thought was best for him. And in the end, I guess it did make it better in his case. Suicide is never the answer, but death is also a very scary thing to think about. And seek help if you're ever feeling that way. See you guys next time.